just like Christmas morning.
Hey everybody, Crasherbasher here, and so apparently a friend of mine asked what my stealth build was, and so I decided to make a video on it. He told me to make a video on it, actually, but yeah, here's my stealth build. It's the skills that are the most important thing here. Apparently it's a bit advanced for any regular stealther, but here we are. So in controller, mastermind, I got forced friendship, confident, Stockholm syndrome. The only reason why I have confident is just so I can get the Stockholm syndrome. But yeah, forced friendship, you get 4 cable ties, and you get cable tie hostages 75% faster. That's really useful for stealth sometimes. And then Stockholm syndrome right here. The the basic thing is probably the best thing, is where civilians are intimidated by the noise you make and remain intimidated 50% longer. That means that any noise you make with like a loud weapon or something will keep civilians down. And typically you want to bring this on a heist that's controllable, like Go Bank or, you know, Bank Heist. You know, any of those heists that you are soloing or nobody has enough cable ties for. This is a really useful skill to take. And typically you want to take this skill with any loud weapon secondary, like for example this Shimano 88 that I have, which is like 30 concealment, but it is a lot of bullets, so then I could just keep civilians down. Or you could take a loud saw, which is right over, if I can find it, here. This saw does not have a silent motor on it. It has the fast motor on it, so that it's actually more threatening, and it's more ammo, just like my stealth saw over here, but this one does more damage, of course. So then that's why I take Stockholm, is because this makes a noise range, I think, of like 100 meters. So anywhere in 100 meters, civilians will stay down. Even revving it up makes noise, so that's useful for Go Bank, for sure. And then here's something interesting that probably nobody ever really takes sometimes, is high value target aced. The reason why I got this is the aced version is because enemies you mark take official 50% damage with a range of 10 meters. That's not really what it's for, but it's for the other one, which is increase the duration of marked enemies by 100%, and you can mark specials by aiming at them with any weapon. This applies to stealth as well, and guards, so that if you see a guard, you can just highlight them, like, with your weapon, and you don't have to spam F to mark them out. And you can, like, you could mark out a bunch of guards at one time to, you know, increase efficiency instead of just spamming F all the time. And it does increase the duration of marked enemies by 100%, and they're easier to see since the red line is a lot thicker and darker to, you know, take notice of. So this is why I take high value target. And then right here we of course are resilience and transporter, throwbacks 50% farther. That's typically what you get for enforcer. But sometimes I would take high value, like before then I would take high value target out here, and then I would get like, you know, this, just so I can have a secondary saw and some ammo bags. But I decided, you know, just get high value target. So that's why I don't take any saw skills really. And of course, we've got Jack of all trades, which is, you know, you deploy, interact with all deploys 100% faster, and you could take 2 deployables. So that's really, really useful for stealth. It opens up a whole new dynamic of how you can stealth certain heists, like Alesso, for example. And of course, we've got our breacher skills, you know, hardware expert, drill sergeant aced, and Kickstarter basic, and more firepower aced. I take more firepower ace just so I can have the trip mines, and funny thing is that the trip mines do actually work together with high value target. So that means if you mark out any guards that are marked by the trip mines, they do actually get high value targeted. So that's really useful to have them work together. And I get Kickstarter basic because I find Kickstarter ace is not that worth it, really. And I kind of have to take high value target instead of Kickstarter. But, yeah, this is all the technician, and we finally go on to Ghost. We got everything in Shinobi, like usual, and the duck and cover, inner pockets basic, of course, and then parkour aced. I find parkour ace really handy at a lot of times, because the fact that you are able to sprint in any direction is really, really handy when you get down to it. Because imagine, like, you see a guard in front of you, and you don't want to get spotted by him, and you don't really have enough time to turn around and sprint that way. You can just sprint backwards and run away. It's really useful. Trust me, you'll love it when you get the skill. Of course, we got second win in Optical Illusions Ace because, you know, more concealment for the suppressors, which is really handy. And of course, we get Berserker Basic. The reason why I get Berserker Basic is the lower your health, the more damage you will do. When your health is below 50% more damage, 50%, you will do up to 250% more melee and saw damage. The saw damage is particularly why you want this, because the saw will take usually 2 hits or more to open up gates and stuff. And, well, you probably don't have any ammo bags with you, so why not just make it easier? You know, just hurt yourself or down yourself and then get somebody to revive you, and you will basically one-hit a bunch of deposit boxes and gates. That's when I usually take the saw on stealth builds, though, or stealth missions, though. And so that was the whole skill set, and I take the and the weapons now. So I usually take the Stealth Raven, the Stealth Judge, and my Telescopic Baton. And the throwables, it's between 2. If I am not taking a saw, and if I have a partner with me, I will take shurikens, because I can down myself and I can use the saw more efficiently and stuff. Or I would take the Molotov cocktail if I am soloing or using the saw, because I can do damage to myself without really alerting any guards, since Molotov cocktails don't really do that much noise compared to any of the other grenades, besides these 3 and this one too. And of course this one too. But, yeah. So that's the throwables, that's the weapons. You know, here's my Stealth Raven. Of course I modified it all with concealment, with all the concealment possible, with the short barrel, this Silent Killer Suppressor, concealment boost, compact laser module, and of course the flip upside. And of course I've got my Judge shotgun with, of course, you know, Silent Killer, concealment, anything else. Of course I have these 2 just because I can. And, well, that's my stealth build, really. I usually take, body bags and trip mines. Body bags is my primary, trip mines is my secondary, since, heists nowadays, you can't really ECM rush, like, at all. It's just not possible, since they kind of stop the, mission in some way, shape, or form. Like, for example, in Hoxton, Revenge, where you can't open the, vault when an ECM jammer is running. So then that's why I usually take body bags and trip mines. Of course, I would generally switch these up when there's nothing but guards, so then I would just take this as secondary and this as a primary. But, you know, it just depends on the heist. And of course, you know, I've got my stealth saw. If I want to bring a saw, I would bring my stealth saw, which is modified with a concealment boost, the silent motor, and a durable blade, since the sharp blade is kind of useless in any way, shape, or form. Except if you want to, like, go against cops with saws. I don't know why you would, but you can. I'm a little sick, so this is a little... But, I would also sometimes take, if I can find it. Here it is. This is my loud saw. My loud saw is used with Stockholm Syndrome, which of course has a concealment boost, fast motor, and durable blade, like I said. And then of course I would take my Stealth Judge, and sometimes I would take the 34 concealment pistol, which, because it's for 99 and it has the 34 concealment, it's one and another pistol that can only get up to 34 concealment, and so I typically take this just because I want to instead of the Judge. But yeah, that's my whole stealth build. I will see you all till then when we do something else. See you all.